All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD 1000 Web Development Technologies course, I've been going through a series of presentations based on the Learn Web Development series by Mozilla.org. So far, I've gone through the Complete Beginners Start Here, the Getting Started with a Web. I'm not going to read these to you, but you can see them as I page through. There were about 9 or 10 things. And I've got about 10 videos I've made so far. I'm trying to keep these videos no more than 20 minutes long, and I was good on, if we've got 12 videos, I was good on I think 11 of them. One of them is 21 minutes. So I am now up, so I finished this, and I'm now up to part 2, which is on HTML structuring the web. As they mentioned, to build websites, you should know about HTML. The fundamental technology used to define the structure of a web page. I totally agree. HTML is used to specify whether your content should be recognized as a paragraph, a list, a heading, etc. So they say you should have gone through the Getting Started with the Web first. We already have. And this is going to be broken down, just so you see. Introduction to HTML overview, Getting Started with HTML, etc. So there's again about 10 different things, and that's in part 1 in the introduction to HTML. Then in part 2, there's about 7 or 8 different things regarding multimedia and embedding. And then the part 3 will be on tables, where there's about 4 or 5 things. So these are the sections. I'm not going to read to you. All right. Basically, an intro, talking about multimedia, talking about tables. All right. Later on, we will go in and we will talk about web forms. All right, that's down in here someplace. And notice this is their HTML or hypertext markup language. This is their basically their page that's got mostly everything on it. Now, much of this stuff is going to link back to where we are right now, so don't worry about it. But it's just another place that you can go to if you need yet more references or whatever. All right, so with that said, let's just get started. So again, I'm jumping into the introduction to HTML, and let's quickly go over this overview that's right here. Okay. Now, it says at its heart, HTML is a fairly simple language that's made up of elements. I've shown you this before, but this is from W3 Schools. And if I go out to w3schools.com/tags, I get a list, an alphabetic list of all of the HTML tags from what is a comment, again, as it's in alphabetic order, all the way down to WBR, which I've never used. All right, and there are, I've never counted these, but my guess is there's somewhere in the vicinity of 60, 70 of these things. You'll notice too when you look at these, some of them as we go through will be red. If they're red, that means that they've been deprecated. What this means is someone has determined, typically it'll be the W3C, the World Wide Web Consortium, or another similar type of governing body has come along and said there's a better way of doing this. There is a new, more HTML5 type of way of doing this. So although you can still use acronym, applet, base, font, etc., they're usually going to tell you what you should use instead of doing that. So in other words, in all new development, you shouldn't be using any of these things that are here in red. Okay? All right. Now again, they say you should go into the Getting Started with the Web. We've already done that. So this is how the section is going to be broken up. All right. So in other words, what they have here, the Getting Started with HTML, etc., all the stuff here is what's shown here. Now let's take a quick look at this. I'm already at 5 minutes, so we'll be fine. This will be a shorter type of lecture, probably closer in line with 10 minutes, if not less. So The next part will be getting started with HTML. Covers the absolute basics to get you started. All right, it says along the way we'll play with some HTML to get you interested. I'm not going to exactly follow what they do. I think it'd be better off for us to build our own site. So maybe I'll start over again with this site that I've been playing around with, this I Love Mo's site. All right. Next, what's in the head section? We'll talk about metadata in much more depth and breadth of coverage than I have previously. Then we go into HTML text fundamentals. One thing about HTML5 is HTML5 is designed to be what's called a semantic language. So things should make sense whether you really understand HTML or whether you're learning HTML or almost even whether you don't much understand it at all. Then we'll go into creating hyperlinks and we'll talk about how to make those. Get into some advanced text formatting. Now, much of the stuff that's used in here, I'm not going to say it's never used. It depends upon the type of site that you're creating. So we'll go over everything. All right. But these things, again, have a very semantic meaning. They should be used in a certain way for a certain purpose and only for that purpose. From then, we'll go on and we'll talk about document and website structure. And there we get into some of the newer HTML5 semantic tags. So again, if I come in here and type in HTML5 semantic tags, all right, and we're going to get something like this. These are them right here. So we'll maybe even bounce back to this page, all right, to talk about that. Finally, we'll go into debugging HTML, and it says that's fine, but what if things go wrong? So we'll talk about, I don't know exactly what's talked about in here, if it's the dev tools, etc., but we'll also talk about validation. Okay. Finally, it says the following assessments will test your understanding. So they mark up a letter. I don't know if this is a good exercise or a bad exercise. Believe it or not, I have looked at it, but I'm still not sure one way or the other. And then they've got another one, as it says. It shows your ability to use HTML to structure a simple page of content with a header, a footer, a navigation, menu, main content, and a sidebar. So we'll take a look at all of this. All right, so this is, again, what we have ahead. This has been our introduction to HTML overview, and next we'll get into our getting started, what's in the head, text fundamentals, creating hyperlinks, advanced text formatting, document and website structure, debugging HTML, marking up a letter, and structuring page content. From there, we'll go on to the other two sections. All right, so I'll be back to start on that in just a couple minutes.